Hi, my name's Alexandra Flood and I'm absolutely thrilled to be joining Opera Queensland in their 2022 season for The Human Voice. The Human Voice, or La Voix Humaine, is based on a play by Jean Cocteau. It was written in 1928 and premiered in 1930. Jean Cocteau was one of the most important and influential cultural figures in France in the first half of the 20th century. He was an absolute Renaissance man, an author, a poet, a playwright, a screenwriter, and a visual artist. And he collaborated with many other French artists of the time, including Francis Poulenc, who was inspired to write this opera written by his friend. The two collaborated throughout the whole production process, with Jean Cocteau making suggestions for set design and dramaturgical interpretation. And they also brought on board Denise Duval, who was a soprano, a French soprano at the time. And together with Francis Poulenc, Denise and he developed this work together. He wrote it knowing her voice in mind, and so he was able to devise a piece that really spoke to her and her instrument. And that made the original iteration of the show totally organic. The work is also absolutely written in line with the cadence of the French language. So when you hear it sung, it sounds almost like spoken French. In the piece, the soprano dialogues with the orchestra, and the orchestra almost could represent the voice of the man who's on the other end of the phone, whom we actually never hear throughout the whole performance. She receives this terrible news that she's being dumped and he's marrying another woman tomorrow. And throughout the show, we realise that she's not an emotionally stable person, and towards the end of the show, she confronts her own suicide. It's a universal story in the sense that many, many people, if not all of us, can understand being dumped, or at least some sense of the feeling of rejection. And especially the idea of communicating with people over a telephone device. That's absolutely something that we experience today. And throughout the show, she also gets cut off from him several times. And that's also a very, very modern challenge. So the work, although it was written 50, 60 years ago, is very, very contemporary. And it's an experience that many people will be able to associate with. This work is one of the important works for solo soprano in the canon. There aren't many one-woman operas. Most of the female stories are told surrounded by a bevy of male characters. But in this show, the onus is on the performer to carry the entire narrative. And that's a challenge that I'm really looking forward to unpacking with Patrick, Nolan and the team here at Opera Queensland.